Mediocrity will be your best friend in your art journey. Here's why. You might be thinking now, this is just and you probably should just click off. But you're about to be surprised if you actually pay attention to this advice. See, in the beginning of my art journey, I always had difficulty drawing. I started to study every photo I came across. I started to make a commitment to myself to draw every day. I started to make big promises like finishing a masterpiece every 3 days, like finishing one sketchbook a month, studying anatomy every day, like reading one art book every 2 weeks, and doing God knows what just to prove it to myself that I am perfect, that my art is perfect, and I am doing my best. I was in this rat race of doing everything every single day. I was chasing something that I didn't even know what it was. I was stressed when in fact the point of art is to relax and marvel at the world. Let's face it, when you're trying too hard, your actions become counterproductive. It gets to a point that it seems like you're only doing those tasks to tell yourself that you've done it, not because it actually achieves the desirable results. And it's all because achieving perfection is a daunting and unattainable goal. Perfection is the enemy of good. And you need to hear me out. Being mediocre is the most demonized concept in the world. But is it really that bad? All throughout our lives, we try to do the best and optimize everything to the highest of its potential. But is that realistic? Can you always make the best piece of work or just be your best every time? The answer is a little bit complicated. I believe that striving for the best is a great incentive to do our work, but expecting the best from our work is the deadliest demotivator. It gives you nothing but hopelessness and the gnawing sensation of impending doom. In fact, the only possible way to make anything work is to be perfect in putting the effort but expecting a mediocre result. That is the only way to allow yourself to make mistakes and come up with new things to try. See, when you're trying to be perfect, you have this scarcity mindset. You're only thinking in terms of mistakes and errors. In other words, you're seeking the fault in your painting. But when you have an abundance mindset, you are asking yourself what you can add to it to make it more creative and stylized. And the first mindset is a mindset of a beginner. The latter is the mindset of a pro artist. When it comes to art, mindset is everything. In fact, all the practices we do from the beginning and noob stage is to ultimately achieve the pro artist mindset. The mindset that is bereft of any fears. If you look at an art master, probably the first thing that you will notice is their courage and fearlessness. The way they move their brush without lifting it or thinking twice about it. The way they make those pencil strokes without pausing to take a breather. You will immediately see the difference between you and an art master. A pro artist has acquired a zen state in their mind about art, about what they're doing. And while they are drawing, they don't think about how it's gonna go wrong. They think about how it's gonna go right. And that is the difference between someone who has never had any practices in art and someone who had so much practice in art. But should we always just say that we only need to practice and that's the only way to get better at art? Is there any other shortcuts to becoming this person who has this mindset? And I think that there is. I think that we can absolutely just cut the amount of time that it takes to become a master at art, and we can just tap into this mindset so that we can apply this to our daily practices and 10x our progress in art. Because I can vouch that my progress in art has not come from the 5 years of just trying to be perfect, and it came to me from the 1 year of just letting everything go, making and letting it come to me without expecting too much of it. And when you expect so less of it, you become so fond of art itself. You understand art at that level. Like, you come to realize that art is not about perfection. If anything, art is about something that is outside of perfection. Because if we are defining perfection in art, we are defining it in a way that, like, every work should just match the natural law, and it has to be representing the nature around us, and that is perfection. If we take a step back and look at art, the most beautiful piece of art are those that are not complying to those rules or deviating from it. And listen, I am not actually saying that you need to aim at a mediocre work. That's not what I'm saying. I am only telling you that you need to adopt the mindset of not expecting much of your painting. That's all I'm saying. Because when you do that, you remove all the rigidities that takes away all the creative energy from you. And when you're drained of any energy, you're not going to be motivated to draw at all. Like, I had that. I faced a lot of burnouts. I faced a lot of, like, really bad feelings that occurred because I was forcing myself to do art, which was not really the goal at the start either. I didn't want to, like, treat it as something that I should do. Rather, I wanted to have a little bit of fun with it because I have other things that I can treat it as business and as, something hardcore. I have so many other things outside of art that are obligatory, and I am forced to do them. But I didn't want to make art something that was really hard for me to do. And, like, I don't know, it just felt really, really wrong because the whole nature of art is not compatible with that mindset. That mindset of perfectionism is just like gonna stop you. It's gonna stop you because it's impossible. How could you possibly gain perfection when you're in the start of your journey, when you're only a beginner? If you're a beginner, my advice to you would be go make as much mistakes as you possibly can, because mistakes are a very good sign that you have been jumping into this pool of, all the possibilities that art has to offer. It's a very good sign that you're actually trying something. You're actually experimenting. And that is the fun of art. And when you figure it out, like, at the end of it, it's not the product that makes you happy. It's not the picture that you came up with that makes you happy, but rather all the trials and tribulations that you've been through to achieve that look on your painting. That is what internally changes you when you overcome all the struggles and difficulties and try to make sense of the world around you through your own creative lens. And once you have that inside of you, once you have gained some wisdom in art, then the progress is going to be absolutely just multiplied, because you now know that it's not about trying hard. It's about trying too many things and giving them a go, not fearing the results, not fearing the failures, but anticipating the progress, anticipating the success. That is what you need to have in your mind. In other words, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. It's also about the changes that occurs inside of you. And if I were to ever tell you anything about the experience of art, I would say that 99% of art happens inside of us when we are actually doing the art. And the rest is going to be shown on the surface of the canvas.